It was a hot summer afternoon when John, a hardworking farmer, finished his chores. His old, reliable pickup truck was parked near the barn, waiting to take him into town. The truck had been with him for years, helping him carry hay, tools, and everything he needed for his farm. But today, as John climbed into the driver's seat and turned the key, something didn't feel right. The engine sputtered but didn't start. John frowned and tried again. The same thing happened, just a loud sputter and then silence. "Come on, old girl. Not today," John muttered, patting the steering wheel. He opened the hood and took a look at the engine. John wasn't a mechanic, but he knew enough to fix small problems. However, as he checked the wires and hoses, nothing seemed out of place. He wiped the sweat from his brow and sighed. "This doesn't look good," he thought. John walked back to the house, grabbed his phone, and called his friend, Tom, who knew a lot about fixing cars. "Hey, Tom, my truck won't start. The engine just sputters and stops. Do you think you could come by and take a look?" John asked. "Sure thing, John. I'll be there in a bit," Tom replied. While John waited for Tom, he sat on the porch, watching the sun slowly dip behind the trees. The truck was old, and he knew it wouldn't last forever, but he wasn't ready to let it go just yet. It had been with him through countless harvests, long nights, and tough seasons. About an hour later, Tom's truck pulled into the driveway. Tom stepped out with a toolbox in hand, walking over to the broken truck. "Let's see what we got here," Tom said as he opened the hood. Tom checked the battery, spark plugs, and fuel lines. After a few minutes, he looked up at John and said, "Well, it looks like your fuel pump is shot. That's why it's not starting." John sighed again. He knew that fixing a fuel pump wasn't a small job. "How long do you think it'll take to fix?" John asked. Tom scratched his head and said, "I could probably fix it in a day or two, but we'll need to get a new pump first. You can order one, or I can pick one up for you." John nodded. "I'll get one tomorrow. I just hope it doesn't cost too much." The two friends spent the next hour talking about the farm and the old truck. Tom promised to come back once the part arrived and help fix it. As Tom left, John leaned against the porch railing, feeling a bit better. The next day, John drove into town in his wife's car to pick up the new fuel pump. He spent the afternoon waiting for the delivery, feeling a little nervous about whether the truck would run again. Finally, the part arrived. John called Tom, and within an hour, Tom was back at the farm, ready to work. Together, they replaced the broken fuel pump, working under the hot sun. After a few hours, the job was done. John climbed into the driver's seat again and turned the key. This time, the engine roared to life. "There she goes!" John cheered, patting the steering wheel once more. Tom smiled and said, "Looks like she's good for a few more years." John was relieved. He knew that the truck wouldn't last forever, but for now, it was still part of the farm, just like him. As Tom drove away, John stood in the driveway, grateful for friends who helped when things got tough and for the old truck that had come through once again.